I'm a little cranked up because this is the video I've been wanting to do for a long time. Not only, I'm just kind of a GM fanboy altogether. I mean, really at the core of me. I mean, I like everything, like, you know, like most car guys do, but I mean, we all kind of have that one brand, that one style of car which we kind of gravitate to, and mine is General Motors. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the pushrod motor, and I like Ford. And does the 4-valve motor does it breathe better, you know, in the higher RPMs? Of course, yes, absolutely. And I love that motor as well. It's just you're able to get us more, you know. You're able to get the same power and the same torque, and it's just delivered a little bit differently in a smaller, compact package. Inside the, you know, just Camaro and the Corvette. Well, what was the Corvette? Front engine Corvette. And I don't know, it just seems to be easier. It's tried and true method. Parts are a little bit more accessible. The aftermarket's a little bit bigger, but just a few reasons why I prefer GM, I guess I should say. Kind of how I break Corvette down for me, and I kind of go by, there's two different kinds, two sections of Corvette to me. Now there's three, but with the C8 coming on and everything, it's gonna be, we gotta wait and see. We got the base model now, but we gotta wait and see what's gonna become of that generation Corvette. I think it's gonna be something awesome, but I'm still on that teetering point of, you know, front engine, mid engine. Anyways, I break it into two sections, basically fiberglass Corvettes and SMC Corvette. You know, the fiberglass Corvettes ranged from, what was it, 1953, you know, going from the C1 all the way up to the end of C3, which was 1982. And then C4 went from 1984 to, well, they're still being made out of SMC. And the C4 Corvette was such, I mean, people don't understand, that was such a huge technological jump for Corvette. You know, just being made out of SMC to begin with, which SMC is totally different from fiberglass. It stands for sheet molded compound. I've also heard sheet molded composite, whatever. It's all the same. Just understand that the resin is different. It's the same fiberglass mat, the same fiberglass cloth and mat, you know, however they want to, you know, make their body parts, but the resin which is infused through the cloth is different. And that's kind of where a lot of people get in trouble, is they will buy, you know, like a C4 Corvette, and somebody have used fiberglass resin to repair a wrecked Corvette. So you just be careful when you're, you know, of who does the repair, what they did it with, yada yada, so on and so forth, because a lot of people don't know or just don't care, and they, you know, you gotta have the proper resin, otherwise, you know, well, I mean, in a nutshell, they're not going to expand and contract at the same, you know, temperature rate. So eventually, over time, it's going to pop apart. So I'm not getting into that today, but just, you know, buyer beware. SMC Corvette, that's kind of the generation I grew up with, and that's kind of, you know, I still kind of prefer, I'm partial to the front engine Corvette, and really the Corvette which I'm talking about today is just going to be the C6 generation altogether. Then this, you know, this Corvette is the one that had kind of the most going on. It had the most models, the most engines. I think we had 4 engines. What was it? We had LS2, we had LS3, we had LS7, and then we had LS9. This Corvette was, it was kind of a huge technological leap, almost as much as from C3 to C4, C5 to C6 was. C5 was a good Corvette, don't get me wrong. It's just, it was a little bit You know, the footprint was a little bit too small. The body was a little bit too big. C6 kind of reversed that. They actually brought the bumpers in. I believe the front was brought in like 2 to 3 inches, and the rear bumper was brought in like another 2 inches. So I mean, physically the car got smaller, but the wheelbase got bigger, and which that's gonna, you know, make for a better highway car. It's gonna make for I mean, it's gonna have all kinds of positive attributes on the chassis, just the performance alone. To get to that 6-figure mark, and I'll just get into it, basically what you know, you're going to be seeing is those Corvettes of the Z06 and the ZR1. Those 2 Corvettes are going to be the ones that have the highest potential to hit 6 figures, and I think this is on the brink of becoming a collector car, like a serious collector car, and the value going up. Now, the ones that are going to go up are obviously going to be the ones that, you know, it's a time capsule and it just got, you know, bought, and it still has a plastic seats, no miles. And, you know, the ones that are just not modded and just had the gut fucked out of them. Now, I say that this is the probably my most favorite Vette because it has it's just the most extreme. The chassis on it alone, including the Z06 and the ZR1, as opposed to the base model C6 with the LS2 and LS3, it was different. The rear quarters, there's no such thing as a rear fender. I don't know why people online call it a rear fender. I mean, I can understand the logic behind it. You have a front fender, so what's this arch over the rear tire? Let's call it a rear fender, but it's not. It's called a rear quarter. The rear quarter panel on these cars were actually physically wider. I cannot find it online, but I think you know, this is when I was growing up, and I remember this one when it was new, and I think everybody remembers the Top Gear where Jeremy Clarkson outran the gas, where he lit the gas, and yeah, the rear quarter panel was actually physically wider, and actually they had the floor pans were made of carbon fiber, and yes, they had balsa wood in there, and nobody talks about it. So I found an article for it. And here we go. I'm gonna show you. I found an article back from, when does this thing date back to? September 12th, 2005. Love it. So it says it was 3/8 thick sheet wood stretching from behind the seats to around the gas or brake pedal, so around the pedal quadrant. So, and it was 4 foot long by 1.5 feet. Got a tape measure here. I don't always carry a tape measure here. 18 inches wide by 4 foot. So basically it was like, yeah, it's probably just enough to fit inside the seat track to where it was not where, you know, it bolted through the floor, where the seats bolted to the floor. So it didn't really cause much stress there, but it was just enough. And here, I'll just read the article. It says, this is not the first time car makers used wood in wood floors, nor is this the same balsa wood used in your Cub Scout projects. The Corvette's materials come from the core of balsa trees. So I believe tree, you know, going to grow from the inside out. So you're going to get the freshest prime cut to get the heart of the tree. And there's good reason for that. Is, you know, because the grain's going to be a lot, well, it's not, it's going to be a lot looser. So you're going to get that. Basically what they used this for was, it was stronger than foam, and it was better than having just all carbon fiber with that super rigid. So it kind of absorbed the harmonics from the road, the chassis, and just the sound deadening. And it kind of, at the same time, it multi-purposed as just a little bit of rigidity in that floor while cutting down the weight. So it was kind of like the perfect material to use, and I really wouldn't worry about it rotting, because if it is perfectly sealed in there and the oxygen is cut off, it won't deteriorate. As a matter of fact, you know, there's wood out there that lasts over 100 years, so don't worry about that. Chevrolet says the Balsa is the strongest wood for its weight compared to pine, oak, or hickory. Chevrolet gets the wood from, there's the company. It says the composite sandwich of balsa and carbon fiber works better than metals. Saving weight. It's absorbing vibrations. Taj. I just saw him on TV a couple months ago, and I'm kind of embarrassed I don't remember his last name, but there it is. The car's assistant chief engineer told Automotive News, "We said, wow, this is great." He says, "We were stunned to find out how the composite structure was stronger than steel or aluminum." He says that the Balsa in the Z06 subtracts 4.4 pounds from the weight of the car. That's about enough, or it's about weight of 4 Starbucks espresso roast coffee bags. That might not seem like much, but it's significant when aiming for flashy 0 to 60 times. Although Balsa seems like an unusual material for vehicles, Chevrolet says it got the idea from a group that knows how to make things go fast, NASA. Chevrolet's been using Balsa in various Corvette components since 1997, and GM would not reveal the cost of using Balsa. Says that the construction is typical of Corvette, and we always use the best materials. So there you go. That kind of debunks or demystifies the balsa wood usage in the floor of the Corvette. So it's just two little strips, pretty much about the width of the seat track, running from the lumbar of the seat all the way up to the pedals in the floor pan. That's it. I mean, it's not like the entire floor is made of it. But nonetheless, I think it's pretty cool, and it's a good way to step outside the box and try other usage of materials. So, also the last of its kind. So, but moving on, the other reason why I think that this Corvette is going to skyrocket in value. Okay, Rob Ferretti just released a new series called Sorted, right? And in the intro, Matt Ferreira says that Vipers are for crazy people, and kudos on Dodge, and that sucks that car went away, but there's no other car that could touch even the same recipe or formula other than the C6 Z06 for having that massive motor to a small light chassis and just creating a crazy car out of that formula. Just the production of them has been touch and go, as far as, they're here, then they're gone, then they're, you know what I mean? So we had a good run with the Z06 as far as, you had that LS7, just that big crazy 427, and it wasn't no freaking, I mean, Chevrolet made an 8.1 454, but that just sucks that they stuffed it in the trucks. It was a truck motor. They never did anything with it. It wasn't really, that performance based of an engine, and that sucks. I wish I would have seen that turn of something. Put that in some cars or something. That formula of big motor, huge tires, small car, 2-seater, go fast, burn gas, just haul ass. That was the last of that car, and we're not gonna see that again, because what's made of those cars, the cars that were produced, that's what's out there, and that's what we got left. It was just the last of the analog Vet. I mean, you get in, it had technological advances, or it had just a lot of features in it, such as like no lift shift. Yeah, it had traction control, it had launch control, but I mean it had magnetic suspension. It barely, it was the last of the analog cars. It worked, but kinda, you know what I mean? It worked just enough to say I had it. These new cars seem like, I mean, like my Camaro, it seems like a video game. I was kind of happy that I got LCD screen with analog needles as far as speedo and RPM. That was kind of the selling point for me, because that's the part you look at the most is when you're driving. Other than that, it's kind of a video game. I mean, all the nannies take over. If you get in a corner too hard, I mean, the car's going to cut power. The magnetic suspension reads with that electronic limited slip differential, and it kind of helps you through the corner and makes you the best driver and gives you more confidence that way. But man, I miss the days of when you were just kind of on your own and just see what you can do. The only downfall or the pitfall to this car and this platform being that the C5 Z06, which was the real, I think they had one other like early like C2 Z06 racing car, but other than that, Z06 became about in the C5. I think it was in 2001 or 2, and that car, was kind of like your track focused, kind of track oriented car, and it had the heat, the transmission coolers, the diff, all these coolers and everything to keep the car running just as hard as you can, as long as you can, without overheating. And you don't really need to buy a C5 Z06, because all of that stuff and all of those tech features and everything, they came on the base model C6. So I mean, this is where the racers really took to this car, with the new wheelbase setup, with the 426 horsepower LS2. As far as like the skylines and stuff, you can't hit, for the money, you cannot get the balance and the power to weight ratio and the tossability and the comfort and the predictability and the chassis for even half the cost of just buying a C6 base model Vette. So I mean, the racer guys really took to this chassis or platform or car in general, and we all know once the racer guys get involved with something, they will do anything to get their hands on what they have to, so that way they're going racing for the weekend. So a lot of these cars are gonna get consumed really quick, whether they're wrecked or whether they're just beat up so hard it's a parts car. But I think this is gonna be like the generation of Vette where you see most of them just disappear. Take example, back in the day when they had the Chevy 400 small block, man, once those racer guys got that 406 dialed in, you couldn't find a Chevrolet small block 400 cubic inch. It's just how it works. And then came in the LS1, and then it's never ending. If you want one of these cars, find the lowest mile car and buy it. This was the generation of Corvette where it had the most extremities, as far as GM or General Motors just had so much money tied up in producing so many different models of this car and so many different changes and variants of it wasn't Corvette alone. In June 1st, 2009, that's when GM filed for bankruptcy. And that's when they started the process of getting the bailout and yada yada and so on and so forth, regardless of how you feel about it. But I can't help but think that having so many variants of the same car and so many engines and models and everything going on, and they didn't stagger the models either. It was 2005, you had the base model, and then 2006 we had the Z06, and just it was a runaway train almost. It was great for us, the consumer. We had so many choices and so many options and so many ways to build the car, but it was just like every year, every model got, you know, a different upgrade. So basically what we can take away from that is find the highest year that you can with the lowest amount of miles for the best deal that you can afford, and buy that car and hang on to it, because I almost guarantee you it's gonna go up in value. It's a bucket list car for a bunch of people, myself included. The LS7, even though it dropped valves and freaking, you know, curl up into a Cheeto and freaking just run breaking pistons and wreaking all kinds of havoc, it's an awesome motor, and I would love to have one day. When they moved to the ZR1, I was kind of bummed out that it was only 6.2, because the 7 liter, I believe you can stroke it out to a 454, which is 8.1. That 7 liter, there's just no replacement for displacement. That's the old adage, and it's so true. You can always put a blower on a car, or turbo, or nitrous, or whatever, but the one thing you can't change is the chassis, and you can't change the motor. So that kind of stinks. I really wish that we would have had, you know, an update, or just, you know, further on carrying of this generation, but all good things must come to an end, right? So C6, Z06, ZR1, they're gonna be a collector item. The real nice ones, the Garage Queens or the time capsules, they're definitely gonna be the one to go after. I see those shooting up in value in the near future, maybe, you know, another 5-10 years. Hit me up in the comment section. Definitely tell me what you think. What's your favorite Corvette? What do you think is going to become of the C8? I don't know. Like I said, time will tell on that one, but I think it's going to be awesome. So that's it, guys. That's what I got. So hope you guys are having a great day. You guys take it easy. I will see you on the next video. See ya.